Hello everyone, and welcome to the Dice Commando YouTube channel. I'm Andrew, with you here as always. This is the Commando Cast, a video cast about all things Star Wars Destiny. This video and others like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. Please show your support with a like and subscribe, and be sure to hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any new videos. If you want to get involved with the channel, consider becoming a channel member. There are many benefits to channel membership, including access to our Discord, exclusive deck tech and strategy videos, and the opportunity to help create channel content. I want to sincerely thank all our channel members, as I truly couldn't do this without your support. You guys rock. Go Commando. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Commando Cast. Thanks for joining us today. So today I am joined by the folks from On the Censors. We're going to be meeting these guys and talking our feelings on the new meta. Hey folks, happy Friday and welcome back. Hope your week's been great. I'm here with the dudes from On the Censors. How's it going, guys?
Fantastic. How you doing, man?
Good. So let's just do a round robin so everybody can put a name to face and voice to everything. And we'll start with you.
Yeah.
Start with you, Majo.
Cool. Yeah. Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Matt, aka Majo Basil. So great to be here, man. Thanks for having us.
I'm Polyfly. I'm the video guy for OTS currently right now. I'm making a lot of the videos and doing a lot of the edits and deck techs and stuff like that. So loving it.
And I'm the 86. You can see me on the server or in the ARH Discord or Echo Base, or you could probably see me around just about anywhere.
Our resident Mandalorian.
That's right. The one and only.
So why don't you let everybody know, I know a lot of people in the Destiny community are well aware of who you guys are, both individually and collectively. But for those out there who may not, why don't you kind of, let everybody know what you guys are doing? Yeah.
Yeah, of course, man. So it's a story that starts back in, March 2020, beginning of the pandemic. A good friend of mine, he's like, hey man, I got this game. I got an extra 2-player starter pack for Star Wars Destiny. I'm like, well, okay, sure. What is that? So his wife comes up, drops it off on my porch, and then like I started looking at the cards. Like, okay, this seems pretty cool. You get Phasma, get Kylo and Rey and Poe, and so we wanted to play so bad, but we things were strict then, and we couldn't get together. So we ended up playing over webcam. And then I just couldn't get enough, man. Like I fell in love. I could not get enough of the game. So I posted in Reddit, found a guy named Elliot. He's actually in the UK. He and I started the server, and then he's not as involved now, but we have hopes that he'll come back. We got going over webcam. We started this like very humble little tiny server that we were back then, and we just kept growing. So we found that people still had a ton of cards they wanted to play and roll dice over webcam, and yeah, man, it's just like the rest is history. It kind of blew up. Then we had Paulie join in '86, and then people just kept playing, and So that's kind of where we specialize. We typically play over webcam. We roll the dice. We play with our real cards, and we do still play TTS. It's a pretty diverse group. We do cater to pretty much anyone who wants to come play. Right? It's all about the community first and foremost. We got people who play Infinite, people who want to play FFG. People who play TCI. So I mean, we're pretty much everything you can think of, man. We just want people to have fun and people who love Star Wars and want to play this game.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let the guys comment too. But and then only really recently we got into content creation. So we kind of wanted to help people learn different things, and so we do the deck techs, we do like little philosophical chats or just open dialogue, kind of how-to Destiny series as we call it. So yeah, I mean, I'll let you guys jump in. What do you guys think?
Well, the server back when I started. So I started when the 2-player or the draft kit came out, and I played at my local for the longest time. And then when the game decided to get canceled by FFG and the pandemic happened and everything, I was like, what am I gonna do with all these cards? So I found these guys, and it was like it's very casual scene. Lots of people that were just playing whatever because they just got into it. A lot of the people at the time just got into it, and not just in the U.S. but all over the place, worldwide. We had people from Germany and some of the Spanish countries. For some reason, I can't think of any at this time. Brazil. There we go. I was trying to think of where Jeff's at.
Portuguese, but yeah.
And so it was very casual, and of course, being a casual player, you see all these combinations of characters being played and types of decks being played, and you think, how do you put something like that together? How does that work? Like, I don't even understand how this works. And so it just kind of came across that, well, it's one thing to see a deck, or it's one thing to play with other people, but how do you get better? Or even for a casual level, how does X, Y, and Z work? And I think that's kind of where the content creation came from, was how do we help our friends now on the server better themselves, or play more, or play different things, right? And so that's from my standpoint, that's where kind of our content creation came from.
Yeah.
I jump in that for me, and where I started, I used to work in the recreation field, so I was out a lot of times and going to FGC events, so fighting game community, like Smash Brothers, Street Fighter, Dragon Ball Fighters. That was my recreation, was staying inside playing video games because I worked outside. I was in a lot better shape before the pandemic. And I had some friends that one time our local card shop was D20 in Lexington, and they've held Star Wars Destiny events. One time they had the 2-player starter set on clearance, and I thought, oh, what the heck, $5, $7. It was really cheap. I picked it up, went home. A couple of friends played it and said, oh crap, it's a TCG. So then we started buying cards, and we kind of had the house rule of you could only buy cards with other people. You couldn't order singles. And pandemic happened. My wife and I lost our jobs, and we moved up to Minnesota, where the scene is a lot bigger. And not being near where my friends were, I started getting online and going into things, and there I found on the sensors. And I kind of joined in, was a part of this group, and I was a part of several groups just trying to be relevant. And I really loved the game, and it was something that a lot of FGC events were shut down. So I just kind of kept playing here, and as they're starting back up, I'm still playing. We're in this server specifically. We cater to FFG players, ARH players, TCI players, any set you want to come in. Hopefully, we're going to be welcoming, and we're going to teach you some strategies. And we decided that we didn't want to reinvent the wheel, because at the time when this was going on, there were a lot of content creators for FFG, but as these fan-made sets started coming out, a lot of people kind of weren't relevant anymore, or didn't promote their products, and they just weren't around. There were just a few pockets, and I thank you for being a content creator that's relevant in this time. But that just wasn't there, and we got a lot of people that I think were like me. They got the 2-player set, they started, so I'm passionate about making those people, helping them to get better, making them the players that they want to be, and growing from there.
Yeah, well, I think you guys are. I mean, obviously, the reason I had you guys on tonight was to spread the word. On the Censors has been a word in the Destiny community for well over a year now, but I think it's pretty fair to say that you guys were originally the webcam guys, right? I mean, I think that's pretty fair to say that's where you started. But in the last, I don't know, I can't tell time anymore, right? But in the last several months, you guys have really branched out into the new player stuff. Your deck techs, and I think I saw something. I think 2 days ago we saw like a how-to video and stuff like that. Is really it's really good, and it's also good to have multiple points of content creation, right? So I think it was valuable. I think what you guys are doing is valuable. I think it was important to get you guys on here and share that news. So thank you guys. And also, I do want to give a shout out for Drac. Drac's been on the channel before for the Infinite Playground stuff. I know he's also a big player over there, or at least he used to be. I don't know on a day-to-day basis, but I know he's a big player over there as well. So
yeah, definitely shout to Drac and Duncan. Couldn't be here tonight, but yeah, they're definitely part of the main crew. So yeah, man, we appreciate it. We appreciate you having us on. We love to collaborate, and yeah, we just, like 86 and Paulie said, we want to keep putting stuff out there that, people enjoy. We hope, there's value in it, and even if you take one small idea from it, you're like, oh, the light bulb goes off, and try something new, or you learn a little something. That's all we really can ask for, to be honest. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
So what do you think, man? What are some of your thoughts been as far as where you think the game's at and content and yeah.
So I mean, from an overall standpoint, I think we've pretty much held our ground for the most part. I think since since it happened, right? Since I mean, by it I mean I really mean the Wild Horizons announcement, right? That was really what was, saying that the game, the announcement that came in January of, what was it, January 2020, wasn't that bad from a, I mean, it was obviously bad, but I mean, from a loss of player standpoint, we all had a future, right? So what was really I think the killing point was the, announcement that Wild Horizons wasn't coming, Worlds wasn't canceled, or was canceled, and I think we've pretty much held our ground since then. And I don't know if that was just because it took FFG so long to get there, we kind of all expected it or what, but we had, I don't remember exactly how many people we had this weekend, but it was 80 some people, or I shouldn't say we, I mean we as a community, they being ARH. ARH had 80 some people at their tournament, and they've had 100 in the past, and I don't know, things are, I mean, we're not a 20,000 strong community anymore, but we're a pretty strong community, I think, still. So yeah, that's I mean that's my take on it.
It's funny because back then I couldn't possibly appreciate this game coming to an end, like that announcement. I was just getting into the game, so I don't have the history that probably any of you guys do, really, especially you, Andrew. I mean, you guys have played the game for probably years compared to, like I said, I started last year in March, and it's just been much more of a hobby for me. And so yeah, that I guess I've sort of viewed that as especially once I became aware of the fan made groups, I was always like, I drank the Kool-Aid. I was the first to drink it. Like, take the restraining bolts off, let's get some of this fan made stuff out there, like let's continue this thing. So I know it was emotional for a lot of people, and I can appreciate that for sure, but I'm just glad we can keep playing it. That's right, that's how I feel. So
yeah, for sure. So Paulie, you said you'd been doing this for a while. What's your take on kind of the status and where we go from here?
So I started playing at my local hobby shop, my local game shop. I live here in Kansas, so middle of the country. We had a lot of access to a lot of bigger events. I actually helped. We had a team out of our local. We actually helped send a couple people to Denver GQ and the original Worlds and all this other stuff. So I was part of a pretty competitive scene, even though I'm not a super competitive player myself. And I came from a different CCG. I came from Magic. So I had always played a lot of card games. And so to be so long in Magic and find this other game that I was very passionate about, it was heartbreaking for me when, the Wild Horizons announcement and Worlds finally announced, because that was my first Worlds I was going to go to, was that one. And when it finally got the axe, I was kind of heartbroken.
I didn't know that.
And, yeah. And so it was one of those things that I thought it was dead. Like there was a point where I put all the cards away, put them in boxes. Nobody at the local played anymore. It was it. We were trying to find the next thing. And I told my wife here at the house, I was like, I still want to play this game. I still want to do something with it. I bought all this stuff. I have all these things. I like it. And that's when I found these. And the fact that the community took it over, and have continued to run it and continue to put product out, and has still such a backing force to it. There's another game that this reminds me of that had this same kind of path, right? Netrunner comes to mind. Netrunner got killed off too, and it still is a huge thing that still gets, not as much anymore, but it's still a big thing. Cards still get created for it. Game still gets played. And so I see a big future, a bright future for this if we can keep continuing down this path. And there's already been a precedent set in other games for a community-driven thing. And I think we've got the right people in the seat. There's a lot of passion around the IP. A lot of people love Star Wars, and I think that's just what's going to keep it driving. I think it's in a good spot. It's exciting too. We just got a new set that just released, and we keep. This is the third community-driven set, plus all the other TCI stuff, and my third community ARH set, and then there's the other TCI stuff, and the Hungry guys are making things. And so I think it's in a good place. I think it's going to continue for a while. I think it's good. Plus, we have OP now, so
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, 86, you said you were from Lexington, and now you're in Minnesota. So
Well,
first, I have
I'm
to
not
ask:
in
Did you
Minnesota
ever?
anymore.
Oh, you're not. Oh, you had moved to
Okay.
Minnesota. Well, I mean, that's kind of like the hotbed of FFG, right? I mean, I guess it depends
Yep.
which side of the state you live on, but. So
I was near the cities, and so actually I was near when I moved, which was only for a few months, and
I
then
see.
I
and
moved
that was
again, but
post-pandemic, you said, so everything was closed.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
yeah, I did go to weekly there that was held by Garrett, I think is his name, and he runs a weekly there. It's Game Center now, with the Z in it, I believe, and so it's changed a lot.
86, the most recent in-person weekly you went to, didn't you win that with the Fets?
Yes, that
Look at
was
them.
that was the Fets. I played against the Vader and Ewoks. Oh man, the Ewoks are just candy for the Fets. And then Kylo Dengar. Kylo Dengar just came out, and that speaks a lot to this game that they're for so long that we didn't get anything new after we had covert missions, and Kylo Dengar comes out, and that changed up the meta, and there were a lot of things that just changed it, just without anything actually changing in the game. So I think there's still things to be found out. I'm really excited about that, and that's the thing I love about the game is finding out new stuff.
Cool. So I have to ask, Lexington, did you ever run into D-House, or was you guys might not have overlapped time periods then, right? I think he was down there. Him and a guy named Mike Rudin way back in the day used to run a cast.
Yep.
I did not.
I love that. I love those guys. Love listening to those guys.
I used to listen to D House all the time. Yep.
Yeah. So that's dating us on our destiny. So. All right. So I have a surprise question for these guys because I like getting hot takes. So we are coming out of the pandemic, or at least it looks to be that way. Who the heck knows what'll happen in a month, right? But it looks to be that way. So I'll start with you, Paulie. Well, the question for all you guys, but I'll start with you, Paulie. The question is, are we ready to come out of the pandemic? We've spent basically a year and a half learning how to play this game, which is a quote-unquote dying game, in a non-socially interactive manner. Can we evolve out of that? Not can we, but what does it look like as we evolve out of that?
So I think it's going to be a struggle. In my honest hot take opinion, I think it's going to be a struggle because you have a lot of the game shops that supported the game, sold the product, supported the OP, that got burned on a lot of stuff with FFG. And so if you try to host OP nights, game nights, whatever at those game shops, I think a lot of those players who was coming to play because it was a new game, they were interested. I mean, because a lot of that stuff is casual players. Unless you have big tournaments, you're prepping for big tournaments. It's a lot of just casual players, people that want to pick something up or learn something new. And so I think you've lost a lot of that. The competitive scenes that we used to have transferred to TTS. Like those guys are still playing TTS. I still know a bunch of my local guys that still play super competitive on TTS. And so I think in order to really come out of the pandemic and have a good in-person game community, it's going to have to be community driven. It's going to have to be a big push from the competitive TTS community guys, I think, to get out there and push the game shops they used to play in to say, hey, this game is now driven. There's another version. There, take the Netrunner idea. Like this has already been proven to work before. We have this following. We want to host something. And I think we have enough competitive people. I know I'm pretty close with my local game shop. I'm sure they'll let me run something. And I'm sure there's a plenty of people in the community that are like that. But I think it's going to have to be more community driven. The other issue to that is with the fan made product, there's only a few outlets to get those dice, get those cards at a quality that would withstand a in-person situation, especially those who have been out of it forever. You bring it back to a local, to an in-person situation, and those people that may have gotten out of it that want to get back into it go, well, where do I find the cards? Oh, well, you go online and print it and sticker dice or whatever, and they're like, takes too much time. So I think there's a couple of caveats to it. But I think with what the ARH OP team has done, providing prize support, because I know that's a big deal, and what the community has done to come together to make it continue and have the outlets for the printable stuff, or to be able to get those dice, whether it's 3D printed dice or dice from any of the other places. I think it's just going to be a community driven thing, and once we hit the ground running, if it's available and we can get those people back into it, I think it'll take off. I think it'll just be a little slow.
Yeah, fair enough. So 86, you said that you've been playing some IRL stuff. Is that what I just heard?
Not for a while.
Oh,
not
okay,
since last
fair
year.
enough. Okay, well, the question I have for you, regardless, then, to kind of build off of, I mean, what we've, what was just said, is what is the right frequency to do that, right? So let's say in your ideal world, you're the TO, your game shop has said, hey, yeah, let's do this, man. We've got a 3-hour slot on Saturdays. I don't know. I don't know personally, like even for my community, if trying to run it weekly is the right answer. But then if you try to do it monthly, maybe that's too little. So I'm curious, what do you think is the right frequency to try to run tournaments? Does that question make sense?
Yeah. I personally think that it's going to depend on the location, and you're just going to have to cater to the demographic. And that's kind of a cop-out answer. But, if you take some place like Minnesota, I joined a couple groups while I was there, and I just casually browse what they're doing. I think they afford a weekly. They do weeklies now. That's something that can be done. If you go to a smaller city, smaller area, Destiny may not be as prevalent. Maybe that's monthly. I also think you need to look at what's going on with the demographic. There's a lot of political sides with the pandemic and how people feel about it, and I think that's going to impact the game shops. So I really think you're just going to have to look at your demographic and say, this is what we can do, or maybe just try something out if you want to do that, if you want to risk that.
Yeah, the political statements. Maybe not political because it has overtones, but I think people understand what you're saying, right? That if you're in Texas versus you're in somewhere else, Texas or Florida versus somewhere else, you've been doing things very differently for the last 3 months. I think that's a very fair point. All right, so Majo, taking us home. What's your take on trying to strike what's the right balance? It's a huge question for you, right? And that's why I'm hitting you last. What's the right balance between trying to get IRL in and obviously our global IRL online play is not going anywhere, right? So what's the right balance there?
I think first and foremost, what we need are sort of ambassadors. Somebody like Pauly. You have a presence there locally where you are. Somebody who has passion, you sort of have a little bit of clout at your local game shop, so you can roll up in there and talk to the owner and be like, hey man, this game is not actually dead, right? And here's why, and here's these people I can bring into your storefront, to play this game. They'll maybe spend some money on some other stuff, some board games and whatnot, and maybe have a little bit of influence there. But like, I think what it's going to take is people on the ground, right? Boots on the ground of people like that who can just volunteer some of their time, right? Maybe run an event, partner up with like Az and the folks running the official OP events, and it's gonna be grassroots at first. There's gonna be we're gonna stub our toe along the way, but we'll figure it out. Like I think that's what it's gonna take. It's just the same amount of volunteer, right? The blood, sweat, the tears, the thankless hours, the no paycheck to make these new cards. Like it's gonna be that same sort of a feel, I would imagine, for OP. But people have the passion for it. I think that's what it'll take. So that would be my take there.
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead, Pauly.
The one thing I want to add, and I can't take this as my idea, but I have been on a couple of other Discords and Facebook pages for some game shops that have been doing what they call virtual live events, where their game shop has set up tablets or computers with webcams, and people who can't make it up to the shop, they still can play over webcam on Discord with live people in the shop. And so that may be a combination thing. We have this virtual presence where they can either print out and play, or we figured out a way to play TTS versus somebody live on our server.
Huh.
So you could do a combination system like that.
Sure.
So you're gonna have to get creative, I think, to join the two communities together.
Sure. Yeah, I think where my head is at long term is I think we do have a challenge. You know, I mean, we've basically over the last year and change evolved a structure, right? We have EG weekly, and we have the Echo Base guys. They have a bi-weekly, and there's a pretty rigorous, or not rigorous, but there's pretty routine. There's a routine. That's a better way to say it, right? We have a routine, and if we now throw in additional like IRL tournaments, there could potentially be less, because it's let's be honest, it's easier to sit at home with a beer, right? So I think that'll be an interesting thing to see the evolution of, do we actually pump the brakes a little bit on the online stuff to go back to IRL? I mean, I don't think any of us has that answer, right? It's going to be very interesting to see how that works together, because obviously you're not going to pump the brakes if there's no competition, so you have to have competition there first. And so it's going to be a very interesting evolution. But the fact that we're sitting here and talking about what we're talking about, I think, is a pretty positive thing overall, right?
Yeah, so. Agreed. And hopefully in some of those in-person events, we can recruit some new players as well, right? Who continue to play in person, and they can come and play online or play on the sensors or wherever, right, at Dice Commando. So that'll be an important part of it too, just sort of like recruiting people into the game, right? Why do you want to play this game? You love Star Wars, it's a good place to start, so.
Well, you know what? It doesn't hurt that it's now free, kind of, right? You don't have to buy packs anymore, right? I mean, that we saw a huge influx of people in the in the early pandemic. I want to say like late spring 2020. We saw a huge influx of people on like the Facebook page, like, man, I got this product for 8 cents. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen. If you get that IRL, we might start flipping some people too. So.
Yeah, that was actually a big reason I got into it so hard, was Empire at War for $20, like all the early sets, and it was unbelievable, right? It was just, my wife was looking at me like, what? Okay, another box is coming on our porch. What's happening?
I just didn't have Starbucks today. It's fine, right?
I think too, there's something to be said for, there is a lot of depth to this game, but it's also very simple to learn. Everybody gets one action. You take your action, and then it goes to the other person. And then, there on the surface level, it's very simple. You can get basic rules. You can get the starter and play it that night, and not have to spend a half an hour reading the rules and figuring everything out. And then there's a lot of stuff that you can kind of develop and learn a meta of as you go on. So I think that speaks volumes to this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well said.
All right, well, Majo, why don't you let us know, or let everyone know, where people can find you guys, what other stuff you guys have cooking, and Polly in 86, feel free to hit in. But let people know where they can find you, and then we'll hit it and get out of here.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, if you would be so kind, pop our link into the description. No, I mean, Discord. That's where we live and breathe, right? That's like, we do post our content on the Facebook group. We also put it out in Discord, but Discord is really, like the whole community. We have a server, that's where you can find us, come hang out in the general, chat about what you want, find a game. And just look for our content, and any of the videos we put out there, there's always a link to our Discord, and take a look at some of our how-to destinies, and actually, before any of that, take a look at what it actually is like to play over webcam. I know some people might think of like, how do I actually do that? It seems complicated. It's really not. It's the simplest thing you could think of. So come check us out. We'd love to have new members, and certainly some crossover with other servers. So yeah,
we actually have a.
If I wanted to,
sorry, I was gonna say we actually have that how to play over webcam section in our Discord. So come check us out on Discord, and then we have the how to play and how easy it is. You can even use your cell phone. There's a cell phone app to actually create a cam. You don't have to have a webcam, which is awesome. So we have a lot of people who play on tablet.
But is there a video that tells me how to find your Discord, and then how to find the channel telling me how to play on?
So
no, I'm just kidding.
We do have a YouTube. We do have a YouTube channel. So on the Sensors on YouTube, that has all of our videos that we've been putting up. I actually did the live stream for the ARH release on Saturday, and I live streamed it on the YouTube. So all of our YouTube videos have our Discord link in it as well.
Awesome. What were you going to say, 86?
Feel free to edit this out, because just making sure that we can talk about this here. But does anyone know, is there any events coming up on our server that are important?
Maybe the Future of the Force tournament series coming on the 26th of June, perhaps.
What is that?
So that is going to be our first tournament series. So yeah, good shout, good plug there, 86. Yeah, so June 26th, that will be an official ARH sanctioned tournament over webcam. So we talked to Az, we got our rules and everything lined up and published. So if you want to come play, there's going to be 3 of those. So you play in the first one. It's a free event. You win that, you could win a seat to the second one. There is going to be an entry fee to the second one, and then ultimately you can get into the third one, either by paying or winning the second. And if you win the third one, then that will win you a seat to Worlds 2022.
A paid seat to Worlds, right?
A paid seat, yes.
Yeah. Yes. So because I just want to throw it out there in case people the Worlds is going to be open to everyone to register for, right? You don't have to win an event to get to Worlds. So I just wanted to make sure that's clear.
Yeah.
At least based on the information we have at this time, which I believe is 99.99% accurate.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it would be a paid entry to Worlds, not a seat at Worlds, right? Because FFG used to require you to win a seat. So just want to make sure that's clear to everybody. So.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
Cool. Well, I want to thank you guys for popping on tonight. Pretty organized, good chat. Cool. Anything you guys want to fire off parting shots, and we'll get out of here. Okay.
Appreciate it, man.
Well, with that
Appreciate
said, then y'all got to say it. Go Commando.
Go Commando.
Commando.
Commando.